What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. Now, I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about a new set of leaks on the new Batman game. Now, we covered this on my second channel yesterday. For those of you that have been with us and have been watching these Batman videos for a long period of time, I've mentioned the second channel before. I'll leave the link in the description below if you guys want to check it out. I would definitely appreciate it. We're growing pretty fast there, and you guys are honestly all to thank for that. So I definitely appreciate your guys' support here as well as that second channel. And we talked about just the base first leak in that video. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth here, obviously a bigger audience here as well. I felt like it's getting a little bit too big. People are talking about it a little too much for it to not appear on podcasts now. So like I say with all of these videos, and people always forget this, but like I say, take it with a grain of salt. And ultimately this is one that I really think we need to take with a grain of salt, because while some things I think are accurate, I feel like they could just be repeating what other people have already said. And we're going to go into it. I don't want to really attack this guy, but I do want to point out some things in this leak. So this comes from Reddit. This comes from the user Mr. Blum 2020. And I know people always say, leaks. Normally, if leaks come from Reddit, you got to be a little skeptical on that just in general. So I definitely understand that. But again, here's what he says. Batman, I don't have a bunch of hype-inducing bullet points for everyone because I hardly know anything about this game, but I'm not going to make anything up. Announcement is still coming in June, or maybe in all caps sooner. When it comes to Rocksteady and Harry Potter, I don't know what the case is now, but Batman is WB's next big internal release, not counting Cyberpunk, remembering again that they are publishing Cyberpunk, they are not making it. It has to release this year, and it has to be announced in June. I can't offer more info than that, but I promise you that I know that they contractually need to announce this game by June, regardless of E3's cancellation. You'll see for yourself very soon. Okay, now in the second channel's video, I talked about just kind of the beginning of that it needs to be announced before June, or at, June at the latest, and that is big news. That's exciting news if true, all if true. Didn't really go into it more than that, but what I did say in that video, so if you guys want to fact check me if I'm kind of flipping my view on this, you can check that video, because in that video I say he really sounds like he doesn't know all that much stuff, and even in the comments of what people are the thread that people are saying to it, he's answering very generically. He's answering with stuff that everybody already knows, which makes this a little bit harder to believe. So I think, and what people are kind of going off of too in terms of criticizing him, is that last part, that they are contractually obligated to announce this game by June regardless of E3. And people are saying, who are they contractually, who are they contracted to that they need to do this? It's a really weird phrase that nobody has ever heard of before, right? Nobody's ever heard of anybody saying that they contractually need to. We know they're owned by Warner Bros., but at this point, we're not insiders there. We're not into the business of Warner Bros. Owning them. But, they've had, 3-4 canceled games. They've been working on this game for God knows how long. It's clearly a little messy there, and I don't know if somewhere in their contract it says Warner Bros. Montreal, you need to announce whatever game you're making by June of 2020 or we're shutting you down. What happens if they don't do it? Do they get shut down? Is that the final straw? So that, the more I talk about it, the more I say that, actually the more I do find a huge flaw in that, because really what happens if they don't do it? This game is almost done, and they've been working on this game for a long time. So, really, what happens if that fails? And the fact he doesn't know anything about Rocksteady, Harry Potter, well, nobody really does, so I'll give him that. He says it's their next big game, their next internal game that they want to release. Obviously, again, like we said, that's going to be the first one, right? It's going to come before Harry Potter. It's going to come before Rocksteady. That's the one that's going to kick it off. Now, let's go through some of the stuff that people were saying to him. Will it still have Arkham in the title? No. That's a big one. That's a big one, because people have gone back and forth. And I know that, when they said about the soft reboot, that whole push of leaks or rumors way back, months ago at this point, I think that was January, whenever it was, that was a big push. And it was kind of back and forth of what it's still, and we've talked about 100 times, right? What's the benefit of calling it Arkham? What's the benefit of not calling it Arkham? I want it to kind of be called Arkham for a lot of different reasons that we've talked about. I won't have a problem if it's not called Arkham. I still call it Arkham in the title just because that's what a lot of people are still. Some people are titling videos like Arkham Legacy, even though like that could very well not be the title. So I've said it before, like that's why I title it certain things. It's just what YouTube kind of picks up on. It's not because I necessarily think it's not gonna be called Batman Arkham 2020. It's just that is some of the key words that YouTube knows and like pushes. That's the only reason I do it. But if it doesn't have Arkham in the title, fine. If it does have Arkham in the title, fine. We've talked about for brand recognition, I think it makes a lot of sense. If it's a soft reboot, if it's gonna look and feel like Arkham, but obviously it's a it's a new story, right? They're restarting it, all that kind of stuff. Like it still makes sense. You could still call it Arkham, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. At the same time, if you don't want to call it that, it's not that big of a deal as well. So that is big. That's totally big. Whichever way it goes is debatable. But the fact that he says no, he is picking a side, right? Because some people have said it is going to be called Arkham. Some people have said that it's not going to be called Arkham. So, there's really nothing I can poke at him for there. He talks about the Damian Wayne game, that was real, but it just got canceled. I guess it got canceled in the summer. But again, like I say for everything, and I don't even like the way he says that, but I don't know. I don't know how much of a insider he is, all that kind of stuff. Just because they announced, or because the leaks said that this Damian Wayne game was canceled, and that happened like in October, just because they said it there, it doesn't mean it was canceled in October. It wasn't just canceled. It was canceled years ago. It was canceled like 3 years ago, and they used some of it, and then they put it into this new Batman game, and that's what they're making now. So, again, I don't know what's so hard to understand about that. Just because they announced it got canceled in October doesn't mean that day that the leaks came out, that James Sigfield said that they canceled the Damian Wayne game, that's not the day that Warner Bros. Montreal hit the restart button on their computer, okay? It just flat out isn't what happened. He gets asked about the Harry Potter RPG, and he says, I don't know anything about the other Warner Bros. Games besides Batman. Someone says, is it a Court of Owls game, Beyond, or another Arkham? It's not an Arkham game, it's a reboot. Other leaks say Court of Owls are in it, but I don't know that for myself. So, again, he's very reluctant to put his own name, on things. And we talked about that. We've even talked about it with James Sigfield, who, as you guys know, I'm not that big of a fan of. You could criticize me to the moon and back, and people have, and people always will. But for these people that want to say that they're leakers, if you're going to be a leaker, be bold and come out there and say it. And if you're wrong, you're wrong, and it's totally fine. There's no big deal. I guess if you are a leaker and you're wrong, that hurts your credibility because that's literally what you're known for. So if you're known for being accurate in your leaks and then you're not accurate, well then that sucks and that's on you. But again, it's a whole kind of ecosystem thing there. So I do have a problem with him being very reluctant, and I guess you could say, well, he kind of patted himself in the beginning by saying okay, he doesn't know all that much about it. He's just going to give us a little bit, and anything else, it's just off the table. Don't ask him about it. He doesn't know, all that kind of stuff. But again, if you're going to do it, you do it. And don't make it sound like it's just recycled leaks, which it sounds like for the most part, other than saying it has to be announced before June, which is the first time we've heard anybody ever say that. Other than that, nothing else here is new, right? The Court of Owls thing, again, he says, other people have said that. He's talked about the engine that it runs on. He's talked about E3 being canceled. He talks about it being developed for current gen, which, even you guys have told me that, right? Way back in the day, I talked about if it could be a next-gen game, and you guys said, no, go look at the job listing, it's a current-gen game. So literally anybody could do that, and then you get to a lot of people calling it very, very much BS. He doesn't answer those people. He keeps saying that it's a new game, not an Arkham game, and it goes on from there, just down. Somebody even asks, is the combat similar to Arkham? And he says, no clue about the specifics, just that there's a AAA Batman title being announced by June. So, I know that. I could tell you that. Again, by June is that extra thing being thrown in. It's interesting. Again, I saw this. It made the news a couple days after the Reddit post came out, made the video on the second channel. I saw a couple other people on YouTube, some bigger, that cover DC or just gaming in general. I saw a couple of them run. I didn't watch any of them, but I saw a couple of them run with it, and so I wanted to address it. At the end of the day, it could be true. It could absolutely be true. Another thing, though, that kind of sucks is he could be right just by default, because literally, again, we talked about it 2 days ago, that okay, it seems like there's going to be reveal events, there's going to be announcements, all this kind of stuff, and it doesn't have to be in June. It could be, in the beginning of June, it could be late June, it could be late May, it could be at any time. These publishers are going to have online shows and all that stuff, which I had been telling you guys for a while. I know a couple people had said, like, that's not necessarily you being right. I mean, it is me being, I predicted it, it came true, so it's right. There's really no other way of saying it. But this game, if Warner Bros. Does an online thing, which they will, or at the very least, like we talked about, they could just do a Batman reveal separately. Yes, it would happen before the end of June. So I think by default, this guy is going to be right. And I guess if I'm going to poke at myself, I could say it too, and I have said it, right? I said I predict that it's going to be announced. I will be right probably by default because there's really nothing else that can happen. Like if they let it go past June and they don't do anything, and if Warner Bros. Does something but then Batman's not there, and none of this stuff is going to happen. But if that does happen, like, all right, well, it goes into July and August and nothing gets said about this game, and then we're all left still standing there like we have been, just in the rain hitting us, and we're all just depressed, right? So like there's no other way for it to happen other than basically what he's saying about, again, the contractual thing. Every time I think about it, I kind of laugh because I really don't know where he came up with that. Maybe that's true. Maybe there is something with like I don't think it's a contractual thing. I think it's more like Warner Bros. Has said, I don't even know. I was going to say like Warner Bros. Has literally told Warner Bros. Montreal, like, all right, your time is up. Like, you're announcing this thing. Now, we know you have this elaborate strategy to announce in 2032, but you're announcing it right now. Like, you could say that, but at the same time, not really, because if the game is planned to come out this fall, or even if it gets delayed just a little bit, whenever it happens, it's going to happen within the next year. They're going to announce it soon. Like, they have to announce it soon. So, again, we're all going to kind of be right by default. I understand that. Again, I know some of you may look at this video, may look at that leak and say, well, this is just, like, pointless stuff. But people run with this. Like, websites pick this up. Like the PlayStation Universe, other websites have picked this up. I think DualShockers or Push Square or something. Like, other sites have picked this stuff up and are running with it based off a guy who's got, like, 64 likes on it or whatever, however Reddit's system works, and really seems like he's just recycling old stuff. Does it mean it's not true? No. Could this guy be someone who's watched one or two of my videos before? It's very possible, because to be honest with you, all the stuff that they've said and all the stuff any of these leaks say always seems to be something that we've covered at some point in, like, my career here, right? So it's funny how that works, but I just want people, like always, you think for yourself. If you don't want to believe me, if you don't want to follow me, that's totally cool. I'm just telling you how I feel about it. And I have believed many, many leaks before. I have not believed many, many leaks before. Remember when that trailer was supposed to be ready to go like 2 months ago? Yeah, like what happened to that, right? That Nightwing? I mean, come on. Some things you really have to just question. And it's okay to question those kind of things. It's totally, totally okay. No matter what, like I said 2 days ago, this is happening. This is happening very, very soon. Mark in your calendar, cross off the last 2 days, because we've gotten past that, and now we're 2 days closer to this reveal happening. So no matter what, whether this leak is true or false, I'm telling you, I believe that we are getting very, very close to this happening. If it doesn't happen, my God, again, like we'll all just go through the ringer like we always have, right? Let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think? What do you think about this leak? What do you think about some of the additional things he said in it? Do you believe it? Do you not? Let me know. Make sure you guys, as always, are subscribed. Have that bell icon turned on. Once again, second channel will be in the description below if you guys want to check that out. I'll cover Batman there as well. Obviously, this is the main channel. This is where I'll do the bigger videos, and we'll try and focus on as many things as possible here as well, but that's a channel I can just upload additional content to as well, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll do another video in a couple days. We'll go back and forth between speculation and fun kind of discussion videos. There'll be other superhero games as well I want to talk about on the channel. Look for those over the next couple days. We're going to have a lot of Predator videos, so that will make it harder to make the superhero, but we'll figure it all out. But there'll definitely be more superhero-ish content over the next little while, okay? Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next video.